Julie Borick, also known as the Catholic Runaway. A friend of mine sent me this advertisement created by the Catholic Church. There's a picture of the Vatican and what appears to be a moon in the sky, but it's actually not a moon, it's a communion wafer from Mass. This is so repugnant to me, but actually using a moon, it depicts the moon and sun worshiping roots of the Catholic Church. So as I looked at this, all I could think of was that perfect circle would be an excellent target practice. So when we're done talking here today, I'll be taking it over to the range. Let's talk about advertisements. Why do companies advertise? They want your money. Why does the Catholic Church advertise? Do you realize that when you don't go to church, the Catholic Church loses a ton of money? So every Christmas, during this nostalgic season, the Catholic Church tries to give you a guilt trip so that you'll return to church. They produce these ads to make you feel guilty. It's a mortal sin not to attend their pagan temple every Sunday, right? If you're Catholic and you're thinking of returning to the Catholic Church, I have some advice for you. Catholic, run away and keep running. Don't look back. There's a reason you left. I left because the Catholic Church left my soul high and dry. What's the reason you left? Trust your instincts. Let's remember the story of Lot in the Bible. Lot lived in the city of Sodom. And God told Lot to take his family and leave Sodom and not look back. Sodom was a city that was filled with wickedness and corruption. It was probably a very affluent city. God knew that Lot was a righteous man and he wanted to spare him from his wrath. So he instructed him to leave the city and not look back. But Lot's wife looked back and she became a pillar of salt. So if you have left the falsehoods of the Catholic Church, don't be like Lot's wife. Don't look back. The Bible says, "Fear the Lord and depart from evil." Proverbs 3:7. Let's also remember the story of the Hebrews, Exodus from Egypt. The Hebrews lived in the land of Egypt and became slaves. They were in bondage for 400 years. Then God raised up Moses as a deliverer for his people to free them from their Egyptian slave masters. God performed mighty miracles and showed many signs to release the Hebrew people from their bondage. As they traveled through the desert, many of them regretted it and they began to grumble and complain. They wanted to return to Egypt. Egypt was a magnificent city, and some of the Hebrew people rather be slaves in bondage than be free men traveling through a desert to a land of uncertainty. If you're Catholic and you miss the grand cathedrals and the sensuality of the Catholic Church, I ask you to remember that these are just material things, idolatry, that keep you in bondage instead of the freedom and the truth that you could have through Jesus Christ and the Scriptures. The Bible says in John 4:24, God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. God's love for his children is greater than any security you might feel from being a part of the Catholic Church. Initially, it might be difficult to navigate through the desert, but it will be well worth it when you find your new home. I urge you to find a Bible-believing church and to read the Scriptures for yourself. the Bible says in Acts 5:29, we ought to obey God rather than man. Catholics, the Catholic Church is not your home. This is the Catholic Runaway, signing off.